Welcome to Let's Talk Business with the Coaching Network. My name is Maria Medina. I am your networking and business coach. And today we're going to be talking with Katherine Robinette. Katherine, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
I'd love to. Thanks so much, Maria. I'm Katherine Robinette. I'm a keynote speaker and consultant on company culture, change management, and employee engagement. Basically, if you're trying to make something happen and you want less resistance, more buy-in, and new behaviors, I help you figure out how to make that happen.
I feel like that is much needed with everything that goes on in corporations, conflict resolution, having conversations, and just having clear communication with everybody.
It covers a lot of ground. And so, I use big words, change management, employee engagement, but it's all of the soft skills stuff.
It's unfortunately the things that they don't teach us in school.
Right? Nobody teaches you how to be a manager effectively or consistently. So, and it can be that sort of mid-level leader roles all the way up to C-suite, wherever the assistance is needed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. The point of this series is so that we start learning from each other, build that community, support each other, learn from our successes, learn from our mistakes, what resources are out there. And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is what has been, or what would you say has been your greatest success so far?
In my current position as an entrepreneur, my biggest success is word of mouth referrals. I love hearing from people when they say they heard about me through work I did with another client or because they saw me speak at an event that they were at. I just love that. That makes all of my efforts pay off in a way that I am not conscious about.
I always tell my clients it is so much easier to provide good service or a good product and have other people sell you for you. So you don't have to be everywhere all at once. And that's something that happened really early in my entrepreneurial career where I had a business. I was going out there and I was growing it, but I was going to strategic places and strategic events and meeting the right people that were then talking about me in rooms that I was not in.
Yep, exactly that. And I love it when they say, "Oh, so just mentioned you," and I it's like, wow, just a mention, perfect. That's all I need.
Right now, when brands are using it very much right now, that's social proof, those influencers talking about your brands, but also showing their experiences with the brands, especially when it's not paid and you have a genuine client that I'm like, hey, I know that you had a great experience. I know that you've had great results. Would you mind sharing those with my audience so that people see that I am who I say I am and I'm helping real people? And to that effect, we always celebrate our successes, but a lot of the time we stay away from sharing those challenges and we don't realize that people are going through the same things that we are. People have made that same exact mistake or have gone through the same issue. What has been your greatest challenge thus far and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I'm still working on it, so I can't say I've overcome it yet, but I'm on a path, and that is getting more speaking gigs. I'm getting help through a program that I joined called Mic Drop Academy. In addition to helping me refine my keynote and my brand, which is awesome, they're also teaching me where to look and how to pitch myself. I have 20 plus years experience pitching other people and not pitching myself. And so it's been very weird learning how to do this for me, and also phenomenal. I understand so much and am learning so much.
With all your experience and everything that you're doing, it's hard to, for myself, for other people to identify this is what I want to do, but how am I going to get there? How did you find that course and that resource to say, oh no, I'm going to sign up for this so that it gets me to where I want to be?
I was doom scrolling. Isn't that horrible? There was the woman, Jess Ekstrom, out there saying, hey, here's a low risk. I think it was a 1 day, it might have been a couple of hours, low cost seminar. And I took that and fell in love. She just explained the keynote process in a way that I knew was right. It matched my experience and it matched the way that I process and the way that I think. So I signed up for the short form workshop. And then after I finish that, I need more. And the academy was the next step. And that included the pitching and all of the connection making. And that was the one piece that I thought, I really need someone who's doing this to tell me how they do that.
I love that you mentioned doom scrolling, because a lot of people fall privy to that. They're looking for something, or maybe they're going to go and check in on somebody in particular, and then all of a sudden they just find themselves scrolling through social media endlessly. But what that brought up for me was, you didn't know what you didn't know until you came across that resource, until you saw that in front of you and you're like, this is exactly what I need. So sometimes I do thank the algorithm and thank the microphones that are listening to us, because when we complain, it then shows up on our feed the next day. But as scary as that is, but what is one thing that you wish you knew before you started your journey in business ownership?
Oh my gosh. And I honestly, I think somebody tried to tell me and I just didn't want to hear it, but how lonely it can be being a solo entrepreneur. There's no one to turn to and say, hey, I did the thing that I said I was going to do and it worked. I miss that. I miss being able to pop up over the cubicle and have a mini celebration. It's just me and the cats don't really convey a whole lot of emotion one way or the other. So I have to be intentional about getting, I don't want to say it's validation, because that's not what I want. I want the camaraderie, I think, is what I miss.
And that's easy to get when you're in a team, in an organization, or even when you have employees. But when you work from home, I went from a big company then to managing a small team, and now I'm a solopreneur. And it's like, who do you celebrate with? That's why whenever I have my clients, I always tell them. And I actually had one client today, we were having a conversation, and not just for celebration, but sometimes environments can be hostile or competitive within the work environment, where you don't have somebody, especially in like a sales team, you don't have that person that you want to go and celebrate. Hey, I just made this much commission over you. But we were talking about those external tribes, those external groups that you can join of other solopreneurs. And I did a workshop about 2 weeks ago. And one of the things that I did during the workshop was, what is one success, one thing that you want to celebrate? And let's celebrate it today. And everybody in the group shared. There were about 15 of us. Everybody shared, and we clapped and we cheered. And it was so energizing that you just don't get that. And as much as your babies love you at home, they're not going to cheer for you.
Yeah. And it was an interesting side benefit of taking this academy. Is part of the learning process was we developed accountability pods, right? So there were a bunch of us taking the class, and we're like, we're going to help each other through this class. Well, we've continued after the class because we like this, right? We want to be able to celebrate our wins and our milestones. We don't have to explain to each other the journey because we're all on it. And so we just get right to the celebration. There's no, and that's what you miss, right? You miss that shared culture that you develop when you're all experiencing the same thing. Well, I found it through this course, which for me is ideal because I'm a lifelong learner and I'm an academic nerd. And so it was the perfect, unintentional, but really necessary piece that I didn't understand would be so hard. It was a big hole to fill. And I didn't realize that when I jumped into being an entrepreneur.
I like that, because a lot of people don't talk about it. They don't talk about how lonely it is, whether it's successes or failures. Who do you turn to? Who do you talk to that can understand what you're going to? Because as much as your friends and family will support you in your journey, hopefully, there are people that they won't understand, and they don't understand where you're coming from. So I appreciate that you found that in that group. Like I said, I personally have a couple of friends that I just call and I say, hey, look what I did. Tell me what you did. And we celebrate together. So that takes me, you found this resource of this group now that you're a part of, and it's paid, but I believe there's some resources out there that are worth paying for the benefits that they offer. What is something out there, whether it's free or paid, a resource, a person, book, a podcast that you would recommend to somebody who's struggling with business, running their own business right now?
I am deep into Mel Robbins right now. I picked up her Let Them Theory book before the holidays and have been, what's the word I want to use? It's not a quick read for me. I am absorbing every single page and savoring her wisdom. Her podcast is witty and funny, but also full of tough love, right? And I feel like she's the best friend that I would have if I could pick a personality for my best friend. So I'm just loving everything that she's dishing out right now, and I'm a mass consumer, and most of it's free. The book wasn't, but the podcast you can listen to on wherever you find podcasts. And her reels pop up because, of course, I've said her name, and so my phone is listening, and her stuff always pops up on my social media reels.
You're actually the second person today to mention that book to me. So I'm now written it down. I feel it's a sign. I'm going to go check it out. So thank you for providing that resource, because now I'm going to go check out what it's all about. And I personally, I do need that tough love. I like Tony Robbins. I really enjoy that. And Gary V. I follow them on social media because I need a little bit of that reality check. Humble yourself, realize what you've got, and work hard to get there. To finish it off, I always like bringing in a networking practice where I tell my clients and I say, the best way to get to know people is to get to know them on a different level. So if you could share a fun fact about yourself, what would that be?
I am a Dungeons and Dragons game master with an active campaign. So when I'm not writing marketing copy or working with my clients, I'm writing adventures and building maps for my friends to play in.
I love that, because us entrepreneurs are so creative. Of course, you could use that marketing mind.
And control freaks.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But do you have much control over what the other players do, or is that vulnerability there?
That's so funny that you say that, because the last session, they keep doing it to me. I spent all this time creating, here's the logical path forward, and they always end up doing something like that I had no idea that they would do. They're only level 2. They just became level 3. They're only level 2, and they went right into the den of thieves. Just bulldog their way into the den and nearly got wiped out. This is going to be the shortest campaign ever. I can't believe that they did this. But, so no, I don't have control, but I like creating the environment that they can just frolic in. I love that.
But there is a huge life and business lesson right there. As much as you plan, as much as you can say, this is the logical best way for people to go on this track to get from A to Z. Nope, they're going to change it up on you. Nothing is as you expected, and you got to roll with the punches.
And they don't think like I do. So, I mean, so many lessons. And it's a great outlet.
I bet. No, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure there will be some people connecting. And if they want to connect to you based on that or any other facts, what is the best way for them to reach out?
I'm on LinkedIn at Katherine-Robinette-speaker, or you can find me at keystoneandraven.com.
Amazing. Thank you again for your time today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us.